Welcome back to another action figure review. In this review, we're going to be taking a look at the new Mattel Masterverse Masters of the Universe Beastman action figure. This figure has 30 points for articulation, and this is the packaging that it comes in. It's a very nice large window box. We see the Master of the Universe Revelation there at the bottom, and the Beastman nameplate. Here on the back, we can see the very nice artwork of Beastman, looking fantastic in a battle position pose. At the bottom, you can see some of the other figures that are currently available from Wave 1 and Wave 2. As of this video, I've seen these in Target and Walmart, so you can pick them up for like $19.96 at Walmart's where I picked them up. I think they're a couple of bucks more at Target. But this packaging is very, very nice. So if we bring up very close as we can, you can see the bio for Beastman. You can pause and read that if you would like, or go ahead and read it for you. Beastman is a savage henchman. What's really cool about Beastman, he can control other animals and get them to do his bidding. The fierce feral force spent his entire life fighting for Skeletor's evil causes, using his brute strength and telepathic command of dangerous creatures to his master's advantage. With the magic gone from Eternia, Beastman serves Evil Lyn and her monstrous muscle in her search to repair the damage done in the final battle at Grayskull. Yeah, that's such a great bio. That's really cool. On this side of the packaging, we have the Beastman Savage Henchman. And on this side, we have Beastman artwork, also looking fantastic. On the bottom, we have the UPC, if that helps you to find these figures in the wild. And on top of this thing, we have the Masterverse logo. Pretty cool. Alright, so let's go ahead and get Beastman outside the packaging and take a look at him. Just in case you're interested in what the backdrop looks like, if I can talk today, this is what it looks like. It's like a brick background, couple shades of gray, and some white throughout. Okay, here's Beastman outside of the packaging. It looks really cool. I'm digging the shade of orange they used. It'd have been really nice if the waist garment would have been a cloth material. That'd have been really cool. But that's okay for this guy. He looks really nice. Right out of the cartoon. Take a look at that head sculpt. Eyes are painted very nice. He has his white markings across the eyes, just like you see in the animation. He has his teeth, his fangs. We have this braided, bearded fur around his chin and up around the side of his face. He does have these little brown spikes on top of his head. His pointy beast ears that we're used to seeing. Then you can see on the back he has that patch of fur. Kind of like, a cat gets scared, they stick their fur up, or a dog. Kind of like that. And most of it's just a sculpted body with a furry design. Kind of comes out pretty nicely. The overall sculpting is pretty decent. He just has a couple of scars here on his chest. Straight one here just about below his chin. A couple crosses there. Looks really good. Here we have some brown fur on the back of his lower arm. We have these dark gray. It almost looks dark gray with some black wristbands, fur on this side. This is a nice texture for the waist skirt here. You can actually see the it's like a crisscross type thing, very, very tightly manufactured. Then we have this belt here with the 2 X's on. It's pretty cool. Here on his feet, he has some brown fur. Do have these bands around his ankles here. Brown toenails. Pig holes in the bottom of his feet. It looks like Beastman is naked underneath, which is kind of weird, but okay. And we have a little hook here on the side that we can probably put his whip. And it looks to be a solid hoop, so I'd probably just go straight down his side. Yeah, not a bad looking Beastman. I've heard the pre-orders go out for Wave 2. I heard said Beastman. I was really hoping on the Episode 1 classic look Beastman. I think Episode 1 on Revelations was fantastic. The animation's beautiful. Outside the other issues, but the animation you can't really deny. Let alone, setting aside the designs. But if they would have came out with that classic Beastman, that would be incredible. I am very much looking forward to see what Mattel does in the Masterverse on a classic Beastman. He's just going to be, I think he's going to be an amazing piece. I picked this up because, Beastman is one of my favorite characters of the bad guys, pretty much. So, but this is kind of like out of my way of a classic appeal, but I picked it up because I think he's really going to look good on my shelf next to Savage He-Man. So, you can display that very nicely. You can call this Savage Beastman if you really wanted to. So, that's my kind of own thing I'm going to do on my shelf, is he's going to have a nice battle with Savage He-Man when he's released. I think he comes with Orko, and that's coming up here in 2022. Overall, a very nice figure. I'm not disappointed. I really wish that he was more of a classic look, but I can't wait to see what happens with a classic Beastman. So let's go and take a look at some of the articulation of the figure. For his head, he has this up and down. So you can pick it up, look down. He can look up really, really good. Of course, there's 360 rotation, which is kind of weird. Then we have some side to side. Not too bad. His arms rotate 360 all the way around. And they do raise up about that much. I must say he's the most fluent in his arms on the tolerance. So that's really good. He has a 360 rotation on top of the bicep. A double jointed elbow, which is going to give you some wicked fighting stances. You can see how cool that is. Especially on my shelf with my Savage He-Man. Pretty cool. And then the wrists are just 360 around. And then they have the in and out like this. And that's on both of the wrists. You can see the joint on that one right there. He has a chest cut. Gives you side to side. Gives you more of that hunched over, like you can see in the artwork in the back. He has an ab crunch, which is pretty good. You can look down pretty nicely, like he's going to pounce on somebody. He goes back. He has a 360 waist. So for splits, goes out about that much, which is pretty good. Back down. You can do that. Just the way that skirt is, it's going to be pretty good for his splits if you want that, that pose. And then we have the thigh rotation. There's 2 cuts on each one. Right here, right here. We have a double jointed knee, which is actually tight. And it's pretty good for hits the back of his leg. Then for the feet, we have a side to side, which you could get the 360 rotation all the way around if you kind of like force it just a little bit, which I don't like doing. Then we have the little bit up and down. So you bend his knees a little bit. You can get even into that Beastman hunched over pose if you would like to do that. Kind of have that bent knee look. It's really good. Like he's kind of like that in the packaging when you take him out. Looks really good. Yeah, so he stands. His balancing is really good with that bent beast stance. I guess we'll call it. Looks really nice. Okay, so Beastman comes with a couple of accessories. He does comes with alternate hands. He has these 2 fisted hands, so he can go one-on-one with a Savage He-Man, or whoever you want, of course. And then he has two alternate hands here. We have more of a gripping hand and more of an open, almost like force choke hand. Pretty nice. And then we have his whip. Nice handle. Kind of looks classic. The only thing I kind of was on the fence with is the overall material for the whip. It's going to be kind of hard to do a whip that's flexible like this, but it just seems like this string isn't the way to go. I wouldn't want them to go with like a hard plastic or anything, because you want this realistic bendability, I guess. But I notice a lot of times on these kind of start to fray at the end of these. Even though they try to either melt them or glue them, but they still fray. Okay, here's Beastman holding his whip. I think the same thing with Man-at-Arms and Spikor. The plastic's really hard. And again, I start worried about stress marks, because you kind of got to use that hand. You got to force out the fingers a little bit. And since he does have the nails, they can dig into his handle of his whip. So be very careful of that if you don't want stress marks, or if you don't want to have the plague of the chipped plastic. Being a huge G.I. Joe fan, I've seen that in my classic figures from my O-ring figures. You know, you slide those hands in and out, and you can just see the wear on the handles. That's one of the issues with that, and I think these might be plagued to that if you're not very careful, especially if you're trying to keep these in mint condition, you know, as you have your collector play. For kids, you know, if you give them to kids, I don't think you really care about that issue, but as a collector, if you want, you know, you play with your figures a little bit, like changing out your displays, you don't want to be careful with how many times you remove and reinsert the whip of Beastman, or you know, the maces of Spike, or even Man-at-Arms. But he looks pretty cool with his whip. He holds it very nicely, very tight. Not too bad at all. You can, you know, it's not very long. It's so like on the back where he can, you know, whip it around the front of him, and it kind of goes up around. Even though it is down here at the bottom, we can whip it up around here and then around his back, I guess. There's really no way to keep that kind of a display. But looks pretty cool. I do recommend this Beastman. He looks one of the if you're not, you know, like me, I like the classic designs more than anything. Like, I'm passing on the overall Tila, because I don't like the aesthetics. I will be waiting for the upcoming classic Tila that we've seen at one of the conventions that they've released image of. So he's pretty cool for being a Revelations version of Beastman. So, but the upcoming Savage He-Man is the reason I bought this Beastman, because I think he's not cool. Other than that, there's not much stuff to talk about. I do recommend all three figures. I do have reviews up for all three of these figures if you're interested. They're really, really cool. Can't wait for Wave 3. Like I said, you can find these at Target. I was at the store as of this video today, and I've seen multiple Man-at-Arms, Beastman, Spikor, and even Tila. Then they still had Wave 1 also. And some Battle Cats, I believe. Yeah, a couple Battle Cats. When you're shopping for these at Target, especially at Target, if you go straight to the aisle where you expect to find your He-Man figures, you're going to want to check all the end caps. Because I did find them on the basic shelf where you normally find them, and then they have a display of these figures with Masters of the Universe, G.I. Joe, Classified Barbecue. I've seen Miles Morales, Spider-Man, and something else from Power Rangers. But they have a really specific end cap for some of these figures. It's like a promotional. They're not on sale that I noticed, at least in store. But I think they were on sale online here a couple days ago. I'm not sure if they still are or not. But just as some extra heads up, so you can help you guys find these. If you happen to walk in the store, check all the end caps, regardless if it's in the girls section, kids section, you know, Hot Wheels section, whatever. I've seen at different Targets, they're on different locations. So this is a little heads up. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, please consider subscribing. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, like and share the video with your fellow collectors and friends. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in our next review.